Welcome everybody to Can't Draw Horses Club. I'm Corey, and joining me today is Lauren, who many of you may know as
Hi.
Atomic
Yes.
Marshmallow. Woo! If you go to store.loadingreadyrun.com and say want playmats or prints, there are two, I think, two. There's
Mhm.
the Egg of the Fisty and the JoJo crew,
Yes.
drawn by the one and only you.
That's me.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Do you want to tell anybody about yourself a little?
Sure. So yes, I am Lauren. As Corey said, I go by Atomic Marshmallow on basically all of my social medias. I do art things. I like drawing anime girls. And the way I like to advertise myself is I'm a nuclear engineer who moonlights as a weeb trash artist because when I'm not drawing anime women, I do nuclear stuff. So that's where the atomic comes from.
just do nuclear stuff.
Yep,
That's
I
just a
work in
thing.
fuel procurement, and so I buy uranium.
I mean, my aunt works at a uranium mine, so maybe we have a connection. I don't know.
I've been to the
Well,
the
Cigar
uranium
Lake.
mine up
It's
in
Cigar Lake.
yes,
Yeah,
I've been to Cigar Lake. I went there actually a couple years ago.
amazing.
I didn't know you had that, but yes, I've been up to. I was invited by the company is Chemico that runs that mine, and they invited me up to visit and do a tour. I want to say it was either 2018 or 2019. I was up that way.
Hmm.
So, mhm.
I don't know. I've always kind of I haven't been up there. I haven't been up there or like Uranium City or anything. But
But it is definitely very cool, if not very remote. I remember for me to get there coming from the US, I had to take a flight from the southern US to get up towards the northern end, then fly into Saskatchewan on a major airline. Then I had to get on the company's tiny baby plane and fly about 2 hours. Then they put us all into a van and drove us another 45 minutes to the middle of nowhere. So either I was going to see a uranium mine or I was going to be murdered at the start of a horror film. It could have been one or the other. Luckily, I saw the uranium mine.
and then you went back to drawing cute anime women's.
Yes.
Do you have like a specific franchise that you're like the biggest fan of?
Well, when people ask me what my favorite anime is, I say Yu Yu Hakusho. So that
It's a little
is
short
my
on women, but I guess there are.
yeah, I know, surprising. I watch a lot of shonen actually, so that's probably the genre I partake in the most. But I love Yu Yu Hakusho is my all-time favorite, and just like basically has been my favorite since I saw it way back 20 years ago now.
The dub?
But I do like a lot of 80s and 90s anime. I love Sailor Moon, so that's probably less surprisingly in my wheelhouse. I like a lot of 80s vintage, well, not really vintage, but I guess retro stuff. Bubblegum Crisis, which actually Alex Stacy introduced me to,
Hmm.
and is utterly fantastic. I absolutely love it. I can't believe it took me as long as it did to see it because I adore that. Sort of another, I saw Dirty Pair later than,
Have you seen
well,
Birdie the Mighty?
I've seen parts of it
Okay.
and also very much love
And I
that
guess
sort of
Project
aesthetic of
Echo,
music.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's my people.
Yeah. So I love those wild 80s and 90s anime women, fluffy hair, bright, colorful outfits so much.
Hmm. And then the drawing. Did you do you have like training?
Not really. I basically am self-taught. I consider, for all intents and purposes, I've been drawing my whole life. But I kind of count from whenever I first picked up a pencil to about age 12 being most kids draw around that time. So it was just sort of like I did it. I think I really consider about age 12 on to be, okay, I've made semi a conscious decision to be like, I actually like drawing, I'm going to keep doing this. So I've just kind of done that. When I was in college, I took, I think, 2 art classes, but since my major was not in art, they were kind of gen ed, very relatively basic levels. So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, you wanted to run us through the process you use from going from like your sketch to lines to a more finished thing, and
yes.
so you've prepared a horse for us today.
Yeah.
Much like I have, I'm gonna just sit here and doodle while you do cool things on your iPad. I'm here on Krita with my tablet and pen, and then no metric for long, no musics today. Also, welcome Raiders from Rebellious Uno. Good to have you today. We are doing this thing. This good horse. It's very cute.
A very stubby little
It's
horse.
got little stubby legs.
Hopefully it's better
It's like
than
one
the
of those
practice
micro
horse I gave for
cats,
you
but a
yesterday.
horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, did you
Blunt
save your
tongue.
horse from yesterday? Because
I didn't. I probably should have, but you know what? Maybe it's better left to the bin.
yeah.
But yes, so to sort of just go through the very quick outline of my work process, and also I will unveil what we are working on today, very much in that realm of vintage, colorful, bright anime women, also sort of a monster theme with it being October. We have very eternally classic anime gal, Ursa Yatsura Lum. So I figured that would be a good pick. She's very colorful. She has a cute outfit, but also admittedly doesn't necessarily cover a whole lot, but I figured that'd be reasonable for us to try to get done in this time frame.
Yeah, and there's a new series, so maybe current modern day anime fans will recognize her.
Yes, so good blend of very old classic, but a lot of people are getting into the new ones. I had seen bits of the original Urusei Yatsura, but being an 80s anime, though very popular, I guess I shouldn't say it's impossible to find, but it feels like sometimes it's hard to find things 80s early and earlier. So I've enjoyed some of the old series. I am watching the current new series. I very much love it. So
it's very colorful.
Also a disclaimer, my color palette is going to be pulled from the new series. So I'll probably go with the orange eyes as opposed to the more classic teal eyes and sort of the brighter blue hair instead of the greenish blue hair. But we'll go along with that to sort of talk about my process. I suppose I'd say I'm primarily a digital artist because almost everything that I finish digitally. But it kind of feels almost a little bit weird to say that because even though I do that, about 99% of the stuff I draw gets sketched out on paper first.
Okay.
Just because that's actually what I'm most comfortable with starting out on. So case in point, I don't know how well it'll show up, but today's picture was
hold on. I have
sketched on paper first.
Bam. Yeah, there you go.
No.
So do you like scan that or do you just like take a photo?
If I don't feel lazy, I'll scan it, but I feel lazy a lot, so I just take a photo. So I'll just grab that. I'll pull it into what I'm working in is Clip Studio, which is my primary workhorse, and clean it up, fix some, in this case, I decided to change one of her hands, adjusted some anatomy things, so on and so forth. So I'll have my sketch laid out like this to begin with. To sort of talk about tools, as I'm sure actually a lot of digital artists will probably say, you download every cool brush you find and then you keep going back to the same 5. Unless you have a specific use. So for me, I actually use a lot of basic tools that are built into Clip Studio. The basic G Pen, I actually just have 2 versions of it with different stabilization factors, which that's, I'm sure and probably a lot of chat knows, but that's just how much the program just sort of auto-correcting on your lines too. So I could go back and forth and do that manually, but I just have one that's set to 0 and one set a little bit higher to save me going back and forth.
Your horrible, shaky shrimp fingers make a straight line.
Exactly. I have, unfortunately, very shaky hands. So I tend to actually set my stabilization for my line art brush pretty high and arguably higher than most people would recommend, but that's what I find works best for me. So that's kind of the thing about art, is that it's definitely go seek out tips and advice, but don't be afraid to deviate for them, because you kind of have to find what works for you as an individual. And there's just so many factors into what makes up each person that you got to do what's right for you. And I arguably do something most tutorials say not to do, but that's what works for me. So to just kind of go over that, what I actually use as my basic line art brush is not a default to Clip Studio, but you can find it on the Clip Studio asset store. And it's a Clip Studio official brush, so it's free. I think I have this. So I have what is called this G variant pen.
Okay.
So this is just the page from the Clip Asset store. If you want to search it, one of the easiest ways is to do that content ID number that's there. Since this has a Japanese name, if you try to type that in, you might be able to find it, but the easiest way is to just type in that number. But in case anybody was curious, it's basically just sort of like their G Pen that they already have built into the program, but it's a little less opaque. So the transparency is down just slightly, that it kind of gives it a little bit of a softer edge, I find. If you're zoomed out and stuff, you won't really be able to notice so much that it's not completely solid. You'd really have to zoom in, coming back to my horse.
Yeah.
If you go in real close, you can kind of see there how technically you can see the layers. But I mean, that's the tool that was used for this horse.
Because like the default G Pen is very similar to like just a 1 pixel brush that's just like
exactly
hard all the time.
So it's sort of those things where it's like the slightest of differences that just you as an individual find if you like or not. So I think my opinion is, zoomed out on this level, I don't think you can really tell that it's not fairly well blacked in and stuff. But so otherwise that's sort of the basic idea. So I decided to bring my sketch here on a white canvas at the beginning, so everybody can kind of see what we're going to be working on. But how I actually do is, my basic canvas appears to be similar to yours. It's more of a beigey gray color, so that I'm not staring at a bright white for hours on end and searing my eyeballs into oblivion.
Yeah, you probably don't have the studio lights I do, but it's like I'm already dealing with a lot.
Mm-hmm. So to just sort of move forward with this, I've got my sketch laid out. I've got it on my canvas. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn down the opacity on that to fairly low, maybe like between 15 or 20. And zoom in, and we'll get started. And hopefully the goal is, by the end of this stream, we'll have this line arted and colored and pretty well finished. And I think that's doable. We'll see what ends up happening. So hopefully I'll also remember to keep talking as I'm doing this. But let me think. So going into start line art, I'm half organized as an artist. I usually don't necessarily go out of my way to name layers, but I do group them into folders and things.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm not necessarily, here's everything and I'm on layer 100 and nobody knows anything, or having them all, but a relative organization. So for line art, I usually break into about 4 standard folders. One for the face, one for the body, one for the hair, and one for the eyes, that's just all personal preference. Okay. Sometimes I'll do more if there's a particular aspect. I think I'll be focusing a lot on, like say somebody had a big fancy sword, I might put the sword in a separate one. But that way I just kind of, while it's easy enough if you just have everything on one layer to go back and erase and clean up, I'm always like, well, what if I want to edit this later on or something? So I just kind of group them like that to be like, okay, well, everything's together here. Mm-hmm. So I usually just go in and I will start with the face. Just kind of follow my lines. I guess I make relatively clean lines. Part of the reason being because I kind of want to be lazy during my line art, and that if everything's sort of laid out, then I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Right.
And that's something that's different for everybody, since I know for a lot of people, doing the line art is their least favorite thing, especially depending on the way that you sketch. If you sketch with a lot of lines, it's often said that it can be hard to like your line art because you're trying to isolate one line, whereas if you have a lot of lines in your sketch, your eye will often automatically just sort of see the one that it thinks is best.
Right.
So I know a lot of people, that's a frustration for them on why line art can be frustrating, or they feel like when they do it, it doesn't look as good as the sketch, which I mean, I'm not immune to those frustrations either, but I just happen to really like line art, so I'm happy to do it.
There we go. I have created Lum.
Beautiful. Perfect. No notes.
Yep. My first anime. I've never drawn an anime before.
Ah. Well, one could argue you started with the quintessential one.
Yeah. Miku erasure. Sure. Right.
Sort of a mouth. I know I zoom in a lot, so hopefully
That's
it's not just
definitely
like-
a I would say controversial thing, because people are like, don't zoom in. You'll lose picture. You'll like lose the sense of the whole thing, and then it's like, well, I want to use big gestures for my hand.
Kind of, yeah. So I will certainly never claim that anything I do is a right or proper way or anything like that. But as I said, I just sort of, I don't want to say that there's not good advice out there, because there definitely is. But I'm also just a big proponent of all the good advice in the world kind of doesn't do you any good if it doesn't work for you or you don't like it or anything like that. So it's like, shouldn't have my brush on. What do I have it on? Stabilization 60%.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't be this zoomed in because
That's
then
not-
you get lost in the
Real
details,
gamers don't
but-
put their sensitivity that high. Yeah.
But it works for me. I find it easier for me, and that's kind of my basic rule of thumb, is that if it works, it works.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not proper or correct, as I say as I struggle to make a circle.
Yeah. But I also see you like, you're doing a lot of rotation and like flipping around just to have like a comfortable angle to do the line at, which is like,
Which admittedly, maybe if I was
I feel like
working
it's
on a bigger level, I wouldn't be rotating so much. But
really okay. Well, I mean, zoomed out
or well, I guess that's the reason I have to rotate, is because it's zoomed in. But like I said, that's just more what's comfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and flip that back.
It's a face. Toe to tip.
And now it's gone. Yes. Sorry, I will hide it every once in a while when I go to sort of fill things in with the bucket tool, like the lashes and stuff. Get those gaps.
I guess that might be more of a frustration with the semi-transparent brush, is that if you bucket fill, then you'll have like thin spots.
Yes. And I should put the disclaimer that there's definitely a lot of more available tools. I'm still getting used to trying out. There's a pretty well-known one. I have it downloaded. I don't know if that icon can be seen. It's sort of like a weird little ice cream cone man. That's another one of the Clip Studio official ones that is a select and fill tool that's very popular. So a lot of those methods. So technically bucket probably isn't necessarily the best, but I'm working myself off of using that out of habit. So I just sort of default to it. So it is sort of the downside of the semi level of transparency to the brush is that it doesn't always quite fill into the edges. I'm going to go ahead and just add some under lash lines for her eyes. So now we get the outline of that. I'll work on the pupils now. I have that in a separate folder because when I'm doing the line art, I'll do a lot of everything in black. But the way that I like to color eyes is I'll color the outside line of it as well. So I just kind of put it in its old folder because I'm going to end up dragging it down to colors later.
Yeah. That makes sense. Then you don't end up with those, like, I don't know, crispy eyes. I don't know what to call it. Like, because you got the white of the eye, and then you've got like a hard line, and then there's the iris, and then the pupil in the middle. Instead of just like, here's the glowy color land of the eyes. They're bright, they're shiny, glistening. So many overlapping dots. Have you ever done anything where you just color like the whole outline?
I definitely have done it. Generally, I kind of do a blend, and that's what we'll end up doing here, which is all the lines are going to start out as black, but a lot of things not touching edges, I'm going to end up coloring. So like the lines of the hair that are all within the hair, some of the skin lines that are kind of, I hate to say encased in skin because that sounds awful.
Too late.
Yeah, so now we have that.
The skin within the skin. If skin inside, color line. If skin outside, darker line. Skin casings. Yep. It's very easy to slip into just body horror when describing this process.
Giving her sort of sharp pupils because
she's
an
cat.
Alien.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she's an alien. She's not a cat at all. No. Yeah.
This I'm just going to actually end up being completely color later, but I like to outline it at this stage. Well, I've got my sketch and see where I had it. So we have an expression. Little by little, we're building a person in a sense. Go ahead and get her.
Yep. All artists are Frankenstein. I mean, I guess you're not using dead bodies, but you know.
But you can definitely Frankenstein your own work as well. I have definitely done the thing where I've drawn a hand that I like, and I like how it turned out. So if I ever want to use that hand again, it just gets pulled into the next file and reworked over and redrawn. So sometimes pictures end up amalgamations of, here's a leg that I've drawn from this previous picture. Here's a hand that I've drawn from this previous picture. And it just gets all glued together.
There you go, AtomicMarshmallow fans. Keep an eye out for any spare, like, JoJo legs just floating around.
I'm just going to go ahead and block in her eyebrows. I could color them, but I'm not going to for this one. All right, we'll move on to her hair. Very fluffy, very anime.
She's got definitely like a classic style, like the round, puffy hair.
Rumiko Takahashi does excellent work.
Oh yes.
Okay. That line's coming out a little thick. And we didn't quite connect there, so I'm just gonna come in and extend it a little bit. That's the beauty of line art, just drawing the same line over and over until you go, yeah, I can live with that.
Well, that's the joy of digital too.
That's true. In this case, I'll probably break doing her hair into two parts. I'm starting with it now to get a lot of the bangs and stuff that are basically touching around her face. Then I'll probably go work on the body for a bit and leave the back of her hair that's kind of behind everything to come back to.
At least until you have like the shoulders done, I guess. Or like how far down does her hair go? I forget the sketch. I've forgotten what Lum looks like already.
It's kind of flowing a little bit over to the left here, so it's going down to about her chest and then going sideways.
I'm gonna have to get a tattoo like Matthew Sweet. That's we've run out of Lum facts and trivia now. That's it. I haven't actually seen all of the original. I've seen little bits.
That is fair because it is a surprisingly well, I guess I shouldn't say surprising. Me personally, I keep forgetting that it is as long as it is.
Yeah.
Because it's 200 some episodes, I think. And I have also not seen all of the original, but bits and pieces here and there, a number of the films. So I was actually very thrilled with the idea of that getting a remake that, from my understanding, takes a lot of the highlights of the series with input from Rumiko Takahashi to sort of get a lot of the key story arcs and character bits and everything, and update the animation and everything. So now it's even more in my wheelhouse, incredibly bright and colorful, very loud in your face colors, but I love that and everything. So I know for a lot of people, remakes are kind of like, oh, quit just remaking everything. But I think that was a pretty good fit where it was relative to over the course of anime, very, very old. You know, the manga starting, I believe, at the very tail end of the 70s. So the anime, I think, was pretty early 80s.
Yep. Wikipedia says 1981, 4 seasons with 194 episodes, but 213 segments. So they probably broke some stuff a bit.
So, and I'm sure there's maybe some outlet out there that has a good remastered version that can be available, but a lot of long series like that can be hard to find in good condition to watch and everything. So I don't want to make it sound like it's not available, because it probably is, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm completely wrong, but I think that one was a pretty good one too. It's almost sort of a very quintessential anime, and making a remake of it now to sort of condense it down to its key parts, update a lot of the animation and everything, and bring a new audience into it, as well as it seems to do, in my opinion, a very good job of callbacks to the original and everything. I am a big sucker for callback things. I don't know if the new one has a dub or not. Admittedly, I watch a lot of stuff in the original Japanese, which is not to start a sub or dub war.
No,
Watch
no,
whatever
no,
you
but,
want.
like-
That's just my personal preference for a lot of things. There's a lot. Calling back to before, my favorite anime, Yu Yu Hakusho, is a fantastic dub.
It really
And I
does.
highly
It
recommend
does.
that.
I was watching
So
that like a couple years ago.
yes.
It was great.
So that dub is excellent. But one of the things that I very much like is that the main characters, Lum and Ataru, Ataru's father in the remake is voiced by the voice actor who did the original Ataru's voice, and Lum's mother in the remake is voiced by the original voice actress that did Lum. And those are the kind of cute little details that I love that.
It's
sort
like
of that callback to
heartwarming.
it. Yes.
Like sometimes the industry's good.
There's just I do love a lot of cute things like that. I believe it was maybe one of the Blu-ray box set releases for the first part that came out. Somewhere along the line, something included a bonus where I believe it's Lum's new voice actress singing her own rendition of the original Urusei Yatsura opening song. And it's just, they do stuff like that. And I'm like, that's so cute. It warms my heart. I love it.
Yeah.
There we got the beginning of a face coming together. Well, I guess we had the face.
It's
now
a lot of
more
a face.
The head.
That's not even the beginning. It's like one line short of being a whole head.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I've got her sort of characteristic anime tails, sideburns, however you would want to call it, that a lot of anime women have, of those long bits in front of their ears.
Elf hair.
That works.
Yeah, I don't know. Legolas. I call it sideburns. Side bangs?
Yeah, that's probably right.
Like bangs for my ears? It's not, I don't like drawing ears hair, because you have to draw the ears too.
That's true. She has sort of pointy, I wouldn't call them quite elf ears because I don't think they're long enough, but along that line sort of ears. So I will have to, you can see them there. So I can't ignore them.
Foxtail side bangs. Okay. Alright, chat. Abby Miller, I don't know what UK's Lum the Invader Girl would be. Is that a live action? Did they make like a live action Lum with like a Cockney accent?
I believe, please take this with a grain of salt, everyone, but I believe that Avi is also talking about when the Lum anime came out, it was not really remarketed, but I believe that's just how it was marketed in the UK as Lum the Invader Girl. But there are a lot of infamous clips on YouTube of scenes from it, and it is, yes, very, very English.
Good. Yes.
So just a lot of, it's an interesting dub as far as I've seen. There's at least one video that is a compilation of some key moments, and it gets pretty wild. I just remember one thing that stands out is I think there's a stereotypical scene of, oh, there's a high school, so everybody rushes the like lunch desk at lunch to get the yakisoba sandwiches or food of the day or
Yeah.
anything. And so like Ataru is there with his two friends and the guys in the back are just like, no, I'm not going to have any of that. I don't like the Japanese food or something like that. I don't like Japanese food. Like, oh. It seems to be very much the product of an era when they were still figuring out, okay, there's this Japanese anime stuff and we want to bring it over, but what exactly do we do with this?
The kids aren't going to understand if we don't call it something in English.
It's also sort of a weird localization where there's always the jokes of like 4 kids doing Pokemon stuff, and it's like everybody's eating rice balls and they call them donuts or anything. And
Yeah.
you can make everybody has their own opinions and stuff on whether they really should have bothered changing that. But I guess you can kind of see what at least you feel their intention was with that. Whereas this one seems less of a intentional localization to make it easier to understand so much as they were just like, well, here's what we're going to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brock's Donuts, I always imagined them being like a powdered donut. Like they're just triangle shape and they're jelly filled. And I don't know, like, the nori could have been, I don't know, a napkin or something that you just hold the donut with so you don't get powder all over your hands.
I mean, one could argue a stuffed rice ball is sort of like a filled donut, so.
Yeah, carbs on the outside, tuna in the middle, and wrapped in seaweed. Just like you get at Tim Hortons. You sure, real gamer cow, you regret rice nut? Gonna go down to the store and pick up some rice nuts? Smoked salmon timbits, of course, yes. Get some lox.
Let's see, I think we'll try. Let's get the shoulders.
Collarbone.
Yes. I tried to edit that. Now I think I like what I had. I know this has come up on Can't Draw Horses Club before, the discussion of do artists make the face of what they're drawing, and that's absolutely the case. So I'm trying my hardest to be like, don't be making stupid faces.
Is it just the face of like your concentration and effort, or are you gonna make like the face Lum is making while you're drawing her collarbone? Or does a collarbone have a face?
Okay, yeah. So what is the face of one's collarbone is the question I didn't think I'd have to answer today, but
whatever it is, you gotta not make it with your own face.
getting ourselves some fingers.
Well, ham sausages. Is there synesthesia for bones? I hope not. I don't want to feel like bones. Or smell bones when I see bones. Or I'm not sure. Taste orange.
don't know how I feel that whenever the phrase taste bones popped into my head, I immediately thought that it would taste like it would have a chalky food texture. I immediately thought of Smarties, like US candy Smarties
Like
or
the
wafers or something.
the Popeye cigarettes.
Yeah.
Crunch, crunch, crunch. Yeah, that's what bones taste like, ignoring all of the bones I've eaten in my life. Taste like Tums. Yeah. Except I've only had fruit flavor Tums, so get some like fruit punch thigh bone. I thought you said tongues. Yeah, bones taste like tongue. It's amazing. Just like the inside of my mouth.
This is interesting for me, and that I feel this is the most I've ever been subject to a stream of shower thoughts without actually being in the shower. What do bones taste like? What if bones were like tongues?
Again, none of the bones I've eaten taste like any of the tongues I've eaten. It's very different.
I'm sorry, Chad, if my drawing isn't cursed enough for you, so you feel the need to bring it in other ways.
Yeah, that might be what's going on here. I know it's a little early, but I was thinking taking a break.
That sounds good.
Okay. Just, get up, stretch, refill some water.
Zoom out. Here's where we stand so far. Got
It's like
some hair and upper body.
A whole third of a lum.
Yep.
All right. We'll be back shortly. See you all again soon. Bees! Live bees! Bee! Welcome back, everybody, to Can't Draw Horses Club. Today, we've got Lauren, or Atomic Marshmallow, with us, and she's inking a lum. This lum.
A good girl. A beautiful girl.
A very powerful girl. Strongest girl in the world.
We've come back just in time to do my favorite thing as somebody who works on things in public spaces, which is zoom in on the chest to do the line art.
Yeah. Just get right in
Which
there.
I guess this won't be as bad as when we get to coloring, have to zoom in on the chest, but...
Just gotta get the highlights just right.
A good breast shine is about 90% of a good anime picture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or you gotta get like the blush on the knees. Because that's a thing.
I am gonna do that. Probably.
It's okay if she's hot. Like, you're okay. There's nothing wrong.
I prefer to think of it as just like some shine and flush on like elbows and knees and stuff to sort of break up the skin.
It's canonical. There you go. Yeah, our hands are tied, chat.
Is it my fault that just a lot of let's just say, etchy anime choices use coloring things that I just like to do too.
Right. Yeah. It's the colors that attract your attention. I can't
I'm looking
remember.
at those pictures for the technique.
Yeah. I was at work and I was like, I'm gonna have Atomic Marshmallow on, and someone was like, "Are you allowed to do erotic art on Horse Club?"
I don't even think I necessarily do that much not safe for work or anything. If they're clothed and nothing is revealed, I can't be held responsible for the feelings it elicits in the viewer.
Yeah. I mean, we could go back to that collarbone, like, woo, the sexiest body part.
You say that, but a good collarbone is very important to me.
I'm just saying. If you say it like it's a joke, no one reads anything into it. Yes, only the most attractive horses on Can't Draw Horses Club. Sokar, this is now how I learned about Shibari sun catchers. That's not something I expected today. Is this a furry stream? If any of you know any really good furry artists, and by really good I mean they do art, just, send them my way.
I was so conscientious picking out what we were going to work on today, where I was like, oh, I want to do Lum because she's very colorful. I was like, she's got a bikini on. Is that going to be too much for Twitch?
Well, you know anime. I was taking an ethics course in university as part of like a comp sci degree, but it was also tied in with the business school, so we had just a variety of people, and had to do a presentation about paraphilias, so just like fetishes people have.
Okay.
And just one of the other students just straight up asked, "Does anime mean porn?"
What's the famous thing? It's called hentai and it's art.
Just like, no, it's just cartoons. They can be for adults, but I'm not going to go into like the restrictions on the Japanese porn industry that made, animated sexy times more accessible. But I would have a fetish project in my CS ethics class. Yeah. I learned a lot. Oh yeah, and you've all seen my slideshows, so it was it was just like that. No, I was on a team of like 3 people.
Well, so then you had to share the shame together at least.
Yeah. But as you brought up earlier, Rumiko Takahashi's work is just mwah. If you find something sexy there, that's nobody's problem.
Not to turn it into like a whole discussion or anything, but I am a very big fan of Rumiko Takahashi and a lot of other female manga artists that prove female artists can do male-oriented series,
Mm.
shonen series, so on and so forth. That
Who do you know that's like a female artist for a shonen series?
um, hopefully I don't mess up her name, but Kazue Kato is the manga artist for Blue Exorcist. I don't know,
Okay.
Exorcist, whichever one you get it referred to as. That's currently running. I think it's a very good shonen series. My only little bit of hesitation with that is I'm not necessarily thrilled with how it seems to be wrapping up near the end, but I don't want to turn anybody off of it because that could be very much personal preference. But she's a very fantastic artist doing a shonen series. My understanding is this hasn't been 100% proven for sure, but that the general idea is that the manga artist behind Kimetsu, Demon Slayer, is a woman.
Okay.
I believe they've tried to keep it somewhat vague, but somebody mentioned at some point. But take that with a grain of salt in case I happen to be wrong. But that is my understanding, is that it is a woman who did Demon Slayer, because it's completed now, the manga.
Offhand, I can only think of Moyoko Anno, who does some, I think it's like josei, so it's more adult themed, but about like escorts sort of thing.
Yes.
It's very sexy, but very pretty. Just like the cleanest, tiniest lines. Oh.
But as I said, I am a big fan of shonen series myself. I like the action. I like the I don't know if it seems weird for me to say that, because I feel like I can trace through the whole of my art drawing what my influences were, and I feel like I still see some parts of those in there. But I feel like when I say, oh yeah, I love Yu Yu Hakusho, and like Togashi's art was a huge influence on me growing up, I don't know if somebody just seeing my stuff now can be like, yeah, that's obvious, or if it's like, what are you talking about? But I do. That reminds me. Kyu Hayashida, who did Dorohedoro.
Oh yeah, I saw your noi. That's a really good. Yeah,
and she's working on Die Dark is her current series now. She's an amazing artist. And while I don't necessarily want to be too comparative, if you like very manga in the style of Akira, her art is in that sort of similar vein. A lot of detail like that very much
like
sort
grungy,
of
gritty.
Yes, grungy 80s style sort of thing. She's fantastic. She does a great job as well, and is very good with characters and action. She made Noi from Dorohedoro, who I, ever since finding out about, am a huge fan, because she is a giant,
just so
6'4",
strong,
6'10",
just big,
buff woman, and
hold me in your arms. Pick me
Katie
up.
Karma brought up another one.
Oh, D. Gray Man? Yeah.
D. Gray Man is done by a woman.
Okay.
Yes. So,
and that's also creepy.
They're out there.
Yeah.
So boys manga doesn't have to just be for boys.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the biggest example of that potentially is Gundam itself, which is got a huge female trans base. Yeah, basically, actually. It's like the female fans are the ones who keep it running.
Which, if we're going to talk about Gundam, I guess I'll take the chance to say the recent Witch from Mercury is very good. People should watch it if you haven't already, because I know it was popular and a lot of people just already did watch it.
My heart. Clamp. I think Tsubasa Chronicles would count as shonen, but the other stuff is shoujo.
Yeah, or if it's, I'm blanking on all the genre names, but I feel like the things that may not get categorized as shoujo wouldn't necessarily be shonen. Not that I'm trying to lock anything into specific things, because I know there's like X 1999 that well, still probably geared mostly towards women viewers. I wouldn't really necessarily consider it just like in the vein of a shoujo series, but um
Yeah, like Holic.
yeah, Holic also comes to mind where I don't know if that gets what that gets classified as. It kind of feels a little bit more like a sane and older series to me, even though it's
But that's
focused on a
again
lot of
because
high
of
schoolers.
like the
But
time period it came out.
yeah,
Like it compared to like a modern shonen, like I guess the what is it, Jujutsu Kaisen or something like that.
yes. Well, wait. I was making a line. I heard. I don't think I made the right connection to how we got to Jujutsu
Oh,
Kaisen.
just talking about modern series versus the older like horror
Okay, got it. Yes,
fighting stuff.
I am a big fan of Jujutsu Kaisen. I really like this series. I guess maybe that one's not so surprising because the artist of that himself took a lot of influence from Tagashi's work, like Hunter x Hunter and everything. So the way that that is drawn is very endearing to me. He obviously, not to make it sound like it's too derivative or anything, he has his
No.
own aspects to it, his own take on it. I know a lot of people sometimes don't like it when they go, "Oh, I'm reading this and I can tell that the person took a lot of inspiration from X." I like that. I like when I can see, oh, here's things I like, and they also enjoyed that. And so they took the aspects of those things that they really liked and blended it together and put their own touch on it. So,
And sometimes it's nice when you're in the audience when the creator makes like just a nod. They're like, "Hey, here's this thing I like." Like they'll insert background characters from other like Dirty Pair shows up in all manner of things.
yes.
And it's just like, "Hey, nudge nudge. We both like this thing, right?" And it's like, "Yeah, I like this thing too."
I am a big proponent of if there's something I like, I don't think I can ever have too much of it.
Yeah.
With the fact that I do understand people being like, I don't want a market to be flooded with one thing because people have different tastes. So I want there to be something for everybody. But I know some people are like, oh, we've had a series do this X thing before, nobody else can do it. And it's like, no, but I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm also starting to get into some older Japanese horror things. So things like movies that are produced based on the works of Edgar Rampo.
Okay, yes.
So like The Human Chair, that kind of thing. And it's like, oh yeah, some early clamp horror stuff is definitely derivative of turning people into chairs.
Love horror, which I guess is another thing that it's interesting when, at least on some level, your art gets seen by people, and I feel like then they have an idea where it's like, this person draws this, and so I have like some awareness of that. The stuff that I draw that gets finished and then gets posted in places is relatively consistent in its nature. But I love horror, and like in terms of drawing on paper, I sketch a lot of horror. I just don't know what to do with it after that, so I feel like it doesn't really get seen by anybody but me. But I love horror, so October is also a very good month where I try to really cram in watching a lot of horror series and movies and things.
Yeah, I guess we have to make like a zine or something, like just something where people can opt in to looking at nasty pictures.
Not to make this all about recommendations or anything, but I will say if you enjoy horror, specifically ghost horror, there is an anime going on right now called Dark Gathering, and it might be one of, if not the best horror anime series I've ever seen.
Dark Gathering. Writing that down.
Yes. It is I think it does a lot of I love watching horror series. In my opinion, I have a hard time getting I don't think I necessarily get really all that scared by media in general, which is one of the reasons why I love consuming horror things. But I feel like I struggle really when I want to hit those horror vibes, say, especially in like October. I feel like sometimes it's hard with anime series. There's definitely a lot of good horror anime movies, and there are horror anime series. And maybe some of the aspect of the fact that when you need a series, it's very hard to sort of pivot in one direction. But say, for instance, you were talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. I think there's a lot of scary aspects to that. But the fighting and the battle and stuff make it not so much horror for me, though everybody's tastes are different.
It's an arena battle series.
Yeah. Dark Gathering, to just sort of give a quick synopsis while I talk, is a ghost series. The main character is a little girl who can see ghosts. And she works with another aspect of it is the three main characters. One of them is a little girl, but the other two are actually college students, so a little bit older than your standard high school students. One of the main guy can sense ghosts, and ghosts are drawn to him.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially they meet, and the little girl is on a hunt to collect ghost spirits because her mother was taken by a ghost, and she basically wants to Pokemon them by capturing the strongest ghost she can find so she can battle that ghost and get her mom back. Which maybe sounds a little bit hokey, but
yeah, it's definitely like Natsume's Book of Friends. Here we go. Like,
yes,
yeah.
The ghost designs are actually very chilling and scary, so I like that for it. It does a good premise in that other than the fact that she can see ghosts and he can sense ghosts, the characters don't really have powers per se to fight ghosts. They're as susceptible as anybody else. So the main girl uses pretty typical ghost fighting techniques, like, using salt or blessed ropes or things like that to capture the ghost. She's not like fighting them with magic powers she has or anything. She's just using, talismans, things like
traditional objects.
Yeah, but she's also very smart about it. And to sort of not spoiler or anything, but in a recent episode, they have to go into a creepy tunnel that has a possessed ghost that they're encountering. And she's like, okay, we have to go into this tunnel. We're going to lay down some ground rules. Here are our priorities. Here's how we're going to go about it. If X thing happens, here's how we're going to react to it. And, if we can't save our friend who was taken, then our first priority is to save our friend. If we do that and doesn't seem like we can capture the ghost, we get out of there. So it has people going to haunted places, but with a reason I think is very believable as to why, hey, compared to other horror where somebody goes into a creepy house and bad stuff starts happening and you're like, why don't you just leave right away? This is creepy. Why are you still here? They have a reason that they know these places are haunted, but they need to seek out strong spirits to get things done. And the boy that's the other boy main character that's with her, I won't spoil he has a motivation as well, that even though he is very scared because spirits are attracted to him, which means a lot of bad things tend to happen to him, he has a motivation as to why it's beneficial for him to help her with this quest. That was probably an unnecessarily long tangent, but just as someone who loves horror and doesn't really get all that scared or creeped out, this series does have some very chilling moments, so I like that. I also am just a big fan of cool, competent children in anime.
I always wanted to be like part of a team that had a clubhouse and then would go solve adventures or ride bikes or something together.
I can't remember how old she's supposed to be, maybe like 11 or something, but she is in control and is just, I don't know, she's so cool. In my opinion, she shows these ghosts who's boss in a way that I feel like I can get behind and is believable, and not like, because as I said, it's not like she has superpowers or it's like, oh, she's blessed so she can dispel these ghosts. She's just doing basic kind of ghost hunting techniques that really anybody could do. There's nothing about her that inclines her to be better at this other than the fact that she's kind of studied the various ways. But she also like traps ghosts inside of stuffed dolls and stuff. And it's just it stands out as being a big enjoyment for me.
Someone in chat earlier mentioned, oh yeah, KB Karma mentioned Uzumaki, the animated series coming out. Looks good. I'm excited. Love me Junji
Yes.
Ito to death.
Junji Ito's horror is extremely good. He has had some of his stuff already animated. In my opinion, what has been done so far doesn't quite have as much impact as when I read his works, I think.
Mhm.
But the Uzumaki, definitely from what I've seen from the trailers of trying a different approach of really leaning heavy into his manga style,
Yeah.
I am looking forward.
Preserving his lines, kind of. And then just kind of animating the manga frame, sort of, is what it looks like.
Yes.
Yeah. Just thinking about that with Chainsaw Man. The anime's fine. Like, they capture a lot of the character stuff that's the most important, but the fights feel weightless to me, which is disappointing. So I feel like it's more gut punchy in the manga form. Let's see. KB Karma asked if you have read Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service.
I don't think I have. But I'm always up for good horror recommendations. As I said, I really love horror. Which you can tell from all the cute girls I draw in the bright pastel color palettes and the stars and the moons. Let's see, getting some of her back hair now.
Yep, all her back hair.
The hair behind her. Let me rephrase that.
You know, Lum. She's the one with the
Yeti back hair.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yes, she's an alien. We don't know where it exactly grows from. Yeah, it could be. Except she does turn around. So, Chat's welcome to draw Yeti Lum if they want. Just mid-transformation, half werewolf, or werecat alien. Maybe some claws.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Mm-hmm. And then that's your new OC, because no one's gonna be like, that's Lum, right? It's like the Mr. Hyde of cute anime girls.
Yep, that line's good enough. Sometimes you get a good line, and sometimes you go, well, I don't want to fuss with it anymore, so I'm going to call it. Remember, chat, done is better than perfect.
Mm-hmm. And no one's ever going to see the compromises you've made.
I know I've been so, to be fair, you've probably, Corey, talked about things you've enjoyed a bunch on Can't Draw Horses Club anyway. But I'm I am someone who I think relatively watches a lot of series, and I usually pick up things with each new anime season to check out and everything like that. So I'm just going to prompt the question of, have you seen any good things recently? I'm not sure how much time you've had to necessarily watch things in between all that you do with streaming and stuff, but
Yeah, the last month was kind of tight for anime at least. We watched. We've got a few things still like on deck. I can actually just check. Browsing my files. Chainsaw Man, Spy Family. Ian's been going through all of Tomino's work, so he just finished Brain Powered, which is not good,
oh,
and is on to something else. Brain Powered's got a theme song that goes so hard, and the closing theme is a little devastating. It's just like these Ken Burns pictures of like flower paintings, like zooming out, while like
oh,
a sad song plays.
I do two things at the start of every new anime season, which is I check out the seasons, the shows that I'm interested in watching, but then I also go through everything that has come out and I look at their watch their openings and endings, because even if I have no interest in a show, sometimes the songs go hard.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some real good music tucked behind arguably really bad shows. Which does make a problem when I have a giant anime playlist and I go, this is a good song. I don't remember where the heck it came from.
Yeah, there's definitely like songs I've listened to and never watched the series.
Yeah.
Like Genesis of Aquarian. Never gonna watch Age of Aquarian or any of these things. Just that song that's a bop, and then there's like a choral version, which is cool. And I didn't watch Gundam Iron Blood Orphans, but again, that song.
Yes, I have seen Iron Blooded Orphans. I really liked it. I will say, I don't necessarily consider myself a huge Gundam fan, in that like there's Gundam series I've watched and I've really liked. But hearing that there's going to be compared to somebody who goes, here's a show and it's going to be about Gundams, and they go, you know somebody like that. It's like, oh, it's a Gundam show that already gathers some of my interest. Now let's see how good this iteration is. Nothing about that necessarily immediately pulls me in, but I got really into Iron Blooded Orphans when it came out and really enjoyed that. And it also has some very good music. I think that was that was around the time I started really hearing a lot of Man with a Mission, who did the Raise Your Flag opening.
Oh.
I think I technically heard them before that because they did the opening for Log Horizon, which I did not watch, but my husband did. So I found the song through that. But that was around the time I started to be like, yeah, hearing them in enough things to be like, they're really good. But Iron Blooded Orphans has a lot of good music. I'm trying to remember. Blue End Count, I think, did one of maybe like the second opening or something. That was really good too. Very good music.
Lurkerspine just mentioned going back to watch earlier Masaki Yuasa stuff, which, yeah, for sure. But the newest movie, Inuo, that's really cool. It's a cool movie. Anime movie. Yeah, it's like I watch, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 movies a week. I watched new horror thing called Totally Killer yesterday. That's kind of like a throwback 80s time travel thing, a little like Detention, but different. And then I watched Delicatessen for the first time, which is French and post-apocalyptic and very
Ooh.
cool. It's very fun. It's like I don't know if Wes Anderson wanted to make a serial killer movie. But yeah, Inuo is a banger. Barren Man of Broken Arms, just that lives in my head rent free. Hmm. Yeah, my anime tank is empty. Is lacking.
Fair enough. As I said, I know you've been busy with all the things that you do.
Hmm. But there's also like good quality wise. It's like I grabbed a Crunchyroll submission or subscription for a month and watched just like everything that was new, and it was like sure, Reborn as a Vending Machine was nice. It was just kind of nice.
I didn't check that one out, though. I did know that Bradio was doing the opening song
Yes,
for it.
they
And so I was like, oh, I gotta check that out.
Yes, ever since Death Parade, I'm just like,
Yes.
Brady-yo, Brady-yo.
I was really bummed with how well it seemed like that opening had done too, and I was like, oh, maybe they'll do other stuff. And then I was listening to like their discography and everything around that, but it just still is nice when I get to see groups that I like get to do more anime openings. And I was like, oh, then they didn't hear about them for a while. It's like, oh, they're doing one good. Okay, good.
It's like you don't hear anything for a while. It's like, oh, Asian Kung Fu Generation. Yes, of course. That happened for Erased.
Yes.
It's just like this band sounds good, familiar.
Where have I heard? Oh. Erase does get a special spot on my watch list of being one of the animes that has made me actually cry during an episode. Not that I want to make it sound like I'm unfeeling or anything, but I can enjoy a lot of stuff. But just like how I can find a lot of series funny, but there's not as many series that actually burst out loud laughing at, even though I can enjoy it.
Yeah, usually it's like maybe a chuckle.
Yeah.
But no, Erase, it's just like it hits you in the your life is not where you want it to be spot.
Yeah, there's some things where you go when you watch them as you're older, you're like, oh, this hits different. I know everybody obviously has their own opinions on Neon Genesis Evangelion and everything, but
okay,
I think it was
the
just
end of Rebuild. I cried. I was just like, this is so nice.
But I think almost as a society, we all kind of grew up together with a lot of. Not everybody had the same opinions.
No,
but
it
the
was
prevailing
there.
idea of Shinji, why don't you get in the robot? To being like, oh, he's depressed. I know exactly what this is like.
Yeah, no, it went from, oh, he's just a whiny baby that complains and cries a lot and listens to music in his bed by himself. I'm like, it me. Look, it's me.
Sort of that as a society, we went, I don't get why he's acting like that, to being like, I get exactly why he's acting like that. And I would do the same, if not worse.
Do want a penguin, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, anime will really deceive you as far as, like, animal companionship. Like, I'm not gonna find, like, a little six-legged fox squirrel that's gonna just, like, nuzzle up to me and hang out with me throughout the day. That's just not happening. That's not real life at all.
Is interesting perceptions of just like I assume this is a universal experience that for everybody as you get older and your tastes change or you accumulate different experiences and stuff, the things that you like. As I said, I like shonen series, so I still watch certainly a bunch, but my change in being like, yeah, look at these high schoolers and they're going and doing things, and being like, oh, trying to watch a slice of life high school series now where they're like, how do I tell the boy I like that I like him? And I'm like, I pay a mortgage. I don't have time for these problems. You act like the world's gonna end if you can't figure out how to tell your crush. And I'm like, I'm just trying to take care of a house. That's supposed to be a joke, though. I don't want to belittle anybody's problems to a scale in actuality,
But no, it definitely colors your experience of that sort of anime. It's like, your problems are tiny. You have baby problems for babies. And I've seen this like 20 times already. Yeah, like, because Beach will do his anime roundup, and then he'll just be like, here's this cute little cozy thing where people go out camping together and you learn how to like set up a tent and make curry at the campsite. And I'm like, does anyone get torn in half? Do they go to the Super Bowl? Like, when's Koshien? Like,
so when do we get to the plot? No, that is the plot. I do notice as I get older, my appreciation for shows that are like just about cooking. Usually something else going on or whatever, like might be isekai in cooking or, raising a kid in cooking. But I'm like, yeah, show me how to make that food. Somebody go fight the demon lord later. I want to know how to make like katsudon.
Yep, Dungeon Meshi's really high on my list for upcoming.
I am very much looking forward to that.
I'm a big fan to begin with, and then I just want to share it with people.
I admit I haven't checked out the manga yet. When I find out about something from like an anime coming out for it, I usually watch the anime first, and then if I go, oh, I like this, I'll go back and I'll check the source material. And read it or whatever.
I will ruin things for myself. I will just be like, yeah, I've already read this. I don't need to see the anime.
All right. I think actually we've got her fully outlined. So that's nice. Generally, what I'll do at this point is if I feel like fussing with individual things, I'll be like, oh, let me go back and add some like extra weight to parts of the lines, like around the hair or something.
Right.
I did see somebody in chat mention Free Ren, which I am also watching this season, and I think is very, very good. Sorry, I should probably be talking more about art things, but I also like anime a lot.
You're drawing an
Shocker,
anime.
it's one of the big influences on me, if you can't tell.
Mm-hmm. And you did mention that it's like, oh, you probably talk about all your stuff all the time on Horse Club. And it's like, no, it's more the shower thoughts kind of happening, or I'm usually like really busy juggling the interface. So many windows open.
I am someone who, I don't know if this is an artist thing or if this is a Lauren thing, but I try to find pictures and references and save them. But if I think I'm going to draw it soon, I go, I'm going to leave this tab up on my computer.
Okay.
But then I keep looking at things on the internet and I find new things that I like. So I leave those tabs up on my computer. And then I go and I look over and I've got like 6 windows open. And each one has about 22 tabs open. And I'm like, I don't want to close any of these because what if I decide to draw it next? As I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah, no one opens tons of tabs and things. No.
Yeah.
No one lives like that.
I am definitely all I switched phones recently, so I guess I don't know if my current phone does it. Though I guess maybe it's just a thing of Google Chrome that it turns out if you open more than 99 tabs in Google Chrome on your phone, it doesn't keep track of it anymore. It just gives you a smiley face. So you
Oh,
can imagine how I found that out.
yeah. No, I'm in Safari. I had like 400 tabs open because I would just make a new window because I was like, I want to keep this old window open. I'll just make a new window whenever I would search something on Google. Uh, it's mostly, in my case, things that I'm watching. So I'll have like a tab open that's a YouTube video that's partway through, and then something on Criterion, and then something on the home system, and then something on like Prime, and then I'll have another YouTube video that I also don't want to kind of forget, even though it's in my history.
Hmm.
And then you have to do the thing because it'll forget the stream. Like all of the stream hooks will fall apart while you're not watching stuff. So you'll hit play and then it'll like crash.
Alrighty. I could fuss with this line art more, but you know what? I'm not going to. We're gonna call that good. And I'm gonna leave. I don't know if anybody saw at the beginning. I can bring the white back and stuff. Technically, I've got a little moon and stars behind her,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'll probably come. I'm gonna focus on her and we'll come back to that if there's time.
Gotta
So
prioritize.
I'll hide that for now. But yeah, we have ourselves a. Hopefully, I would like to say cute anime lum gal.
Mm-hmm.
Line arted. So now just generally move on to my colors, which I'll make a folder for that, and I'll sort of line up a bunch of tabs for sort of the different colored sections. I guess sort of my logic is from the bottom up. That tends to be the same, where usually I start with the skin, and then usually do stuff like if their mouth is open, okay, their tongue color, teeth color, anything like that. In this case, her outfit's pretty straightforward. So I've got one for the yellow of her outfit, the color of the stripes on her outfit, set for her eyes, set for her hair, and she's got little horns. And off the top of my head, that's all I could think of that I'm going to have to color for her. So we'll make more as we go along if I find out there's more. So then for actually coloring, I've got sort of my palette colors already eyedropped from here. I've drawn and colored Lum before, so sort of pulling from my references from that and things that I've done for her before. I just drop them into here. Sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll just have the other picture open in another tab and go back and forth between them, but figured it'd just be easier this time to go from here. So generally, I'll just start blocking the various color parts in. And again, very often I use the bucket tool because I'm lazy and I just quickly grab that and stuff, even though sometimes you do have those round edges and everything. You have to go back and make sure they really get filled in. But sort of nice, quick, and easy.
That's the dream. It's the tool you can quickly iterate through.
I don't know if other people experience this, but I know that and who knows, maybe it's an art thing. I feel like it's something that maybe people with ADHD can understand, where it feels bad to spend too long on the same thing sometimes. So things that just let me do things quickly are good.
Like, is that you're worried that you're neglecting the other stuff, or you just lose attention?
Lose attention, or I just know in my case, the longer I spend on something, the more I'm likely to get frustrated with it or not, or become too picky or not like it and stuff. So it's like faster is better. Red Basses, the size of the color blobs don't mean anything. Not really. I suppose it ended up being that some of the larger blobs are the main color. Like this outfit, this big yellow one's going to be her main outfit color, and the others are going to be accent, shading, highlight, and stuff. That'll probably be her main hair color. But really, it's just I grab the G pen and I'm like, color eyedropper tool this, lay it down there.
Lovely.
So, mhm.
Well, you grouped them, so
I did. So I did group them together where I've got like a set for the skin, a set for the eyes, set for the hair, set for the outfit. I've got this random red in the corner, which is just sort of
good thing that's got a label.
Yes, warm toned that we're gonna airbrush onto some of the lines, which is a if the character is relatively within this range on terms of their skin color, that's just sort of the standard that I use. It would get darker or toned a little bit differently for a darker skin character, but for a lip color. Color her teeth. Don't think I had a color already picked out for her tongue, but that's okay. It's going to be some sort of reddish pink.
Clips got like some gap jumping technology, right? Like it'll.
Yes. So there are settings you can adjust for, say, your bucket tools or anything. There is like a close gap function. I've got it up on the right side here. I'm not sure necessarily how easy it is to see since I know I'm interfacing on an iPad, which is a little bit smaller shown on the screen. So I have tweaked with that. So you can, that's sort of the disclaimer is anything that I might fuss over, chances are there's probably either there's a way to work around it that I do actually already know, or there's probably a way out there and I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And just there's a lot of aspects to digital art that they make things easier. So chances are anything has a solution out there. And I've tweaked with those settings. Sometimes it's just I'll leave them where they are because depending on how you close the gap, it'll fill it in better, or it might not see the line and then suddenly you're filling in your whole screen or anything like that. So
All right, let's see. I think I can futz with things for people if visibility is an issue. Do you listen to music while you work usually, or like play TV
Yes.
stuff? Yeah.
More often than not, I either listen to music or I will have streams or YouTube going on in the background. Streams that aren't heavily relied on the visual element. Because I'll glance up if, like, you know, depending on the game being playing, but I'll listen more or anything. But I love music. I listen to music constantly. It's definitely one of the biggest things that I do and sort of, I guess I'd say inspires me. It gets me in a good headspace, at least, even if necessarily it's not like, oh, here's this song and it inspired me to create this specific picture or anything like that. But
yeah.
yes.
Do you try to match like the emotional energy of your work, or are you just like, I need something to get me energized?
Depends. I'd say I do kind of all those. Sometimes if I am feeling like, oh, I want to draw a lot of, say, retro stuff. I have a retro anime playlist with like openings of animes from the 80s and 90s. So I'll kind of like set the right mood for that.
Mm-hmm.
But other times I'll just be like, oh, you know, I don't know. I'll just listen to some standard favorites of mine. Or sometimes actually what I like to do is queue up if there's a new album release and just start with being like, oh, I love getting, you know, new albums or album suggestions from people that I haven't listened to before. And I go, okay, I'm just going to queue up this whole album to give it a listen to for the first time while I work on stuff. But I adore music. I love music. So
It's good stuff.
Hmm.
Controversial opinion, music good.
Oh, accidental click. Nope.
The spinning wheel of, I'm trying something a little harder than you wanted me to.
Yes, I will give a shout out to Avi. They also very much love music. I've gotten a lot of really good music recommendations from them of
Ooh.
new albums. They tweet often about an album. They do a sort of listening through series of albums they listen to each week and everything like that. So, and obviously Kathleen has her music stream and everything like that. So, music good. As you said, the very controversial opinion of music good.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Put the stripes back on her outfit. I know technically I should probably just leave them black, but I'm going to make them just sort of a pretty dark brown. So that's not quite so harsh on the colors I'm going to do later. Bring my palette colors back. Yes, only the hottest of takes on Horse Club. Music good. Do things you like. Enjoy things. Don't at me. Hide her skin color for a second while I do the whites of her eyes. So I make sure I see better what I'm doing.
That's a good idea. Ah. That never occurred to me. It's the one benefit of not doing everything on the single layer.
Yes, I am definitely the type of person where I'm like, could I just erase the part? Sure, but I might need to change that later, so leave it on its own layer forever.
Yep.
We'll hide that. Let me go ahead and bring up the palette again for her eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll just give my relative, not really disclaimer. I don't think anybody's really up in arms about this, but I'm going to go ahead and lean towards the remake Lum color palette. So I'm going to give her the yellowish orange eyes and a little bit of a brighter blue hair compared to very classic Lum that has bluish greeny teal eyes and darker hair. Admittedly, part of this is the bias that I think the way that I like to color eyes, this color scheme just works a little bit better for me. But both sets are good. Everything's good. Hot takes again. Everything's good.
Damn, coming out here, firing on all cylinders.
Like what you like. Enjoy things. Actually, now that I've filled in her eyes, I could probably give her her skin back.
I think, yeah, anime eyes these days are at the base level more colorful than they were 30 years ago. But then also I've seen some crazy stuff with people with like star-shaped irises and like 5 colors.
Yes.
It's like maybe pull it back a bit, but I mean, you know, do you, but that's a lot.
I know as an artist, there's always the thing that I find where drawing a thing one way can be really fun, but then you have to figure out how to color it. And it's like, maybe this doesn't work so well.
Have you ever like Googled yourself, just been like, I want to draw this classroom? 50 chairs later, like.
Yeah, there's definitely things where it's, oh, this idea is cool. The problem is then I have to draw it. Just like how I always think, oh, if I make a character, I want to give them a really cool or intricate outfit. But then if it's the standard outfit they wear, that means you have to draw a lot.
Yep.
And that can be not so fun.
Tattoos.
Yep. That's something I've actually posited towards myself, that I want to design more of my own characters to have tattoos. It's just then I gotta figure out tattoo designs I like, that I'm okay with being like, you're gonna have to draw that all the time. Are you okay with that? I can talk about one of my, I feel relatively comfortable drawing most things with people. I'm okay. I think the feet I draw are okay. I still have a little bit of a hard time drawing toes. Just that's personal for me. But then recently I was working on creating character. I'm like, oh, I want to give her open-toed shoes, and it's like, you're gonna have to draw our toes all the time. Are you okay with that?
Like, how many could there possibly be? Like 2?
That's the problem I have. I draw 4, and I go, there's supposed to be 5, and I got no place for that 5th toe.
Some baby toes are very weird looking. And
Yeah.
just because they're like a little sideways claw doesn't mean they're wrong. Just 90 degrees to the rest of the foot. Mickey Mouse feet. Yeah, 4 toes.
See, hands, it's fine. You got 5 fingers. That's great. I can work with that. Toes, it's like, for whatever reason, me as an artist, I'm like, okay, here's a big toe, and we start working our way through, and I go, there's just not enough room. Where's that 5th toe supposed to go? I don't understand.
Yeah. It's, the foot thumb is a lot of problems for a lot of people. In your horror doodles, have you ever drawn hands for feet?
Yes. I haven't drawn feet for hands for the aforementioned reasons.
Also, they're less threatening, really. Yeah, you see someone with, like, hands for feet, and you're like, oh! You see someone with feet for hands, you're like, oh. Well, what happened? Oh, that seems hard for you.
This is maybe a horrible train of thought that it made me get into, but thinking on the subject of horses, I'm always torn when it comes to anthropomorphizing horses, which isn't something I necessarily draw a lot, but hey, there's furry artists out there. They're fantastic. They do good work. Lots of people like horse anthropomorphic characters and stuff.
And they give them hands, like, human hands.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know. But sometimes they'll do human hands and horse feet with the hooves. And I'm like, does that work? But then I see a horse person with feet. And I'm like, does that work?
Just real Bojack.
That's all just like the thoughts in my head. That is not meant to be a comment on anything being right or wrong. People draw your horse people however you want. That makes you happy. That's what's important. Again, controversial opinions. Draw what you like the things you like.
Yeah.
Stuff good.
Yeah, Filler brings up my horse prince, which is a normal horse body with just the face of a handsome, pretty boy. It's just the face.
I don't like the image that put in my head. even pulled this color palette myself, and now I'm looking at the blue on the sides, and I'm like, I don't think this is the blue I've been using recently. We're going with it, though.
Yeah, I've never looked at a color and just been like, wait, who are you?
I pulled my pupil folder for the eyes down because now, as you see, I went ahead and I'm throwing some color on there, which is just something that I like to do.
It looks like candy corn.
Isn't it? I did that totally on purpose.
Do not
because
eat
it's
the
October.
eyeballs. Don't lick them.
Don't do that.
No.
Ugh. Most horror stuff doesn't get to me. Eyeball stuff does.
Ugh. Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty, I think that's all of her flat colors. So we'll go ahead and put a gradient on her hair too, because again, she's got very colorful, pretty hair. So I guess one of my other pretty standard workhorses is just sort of a soft, blendy, shading-ish brush. I like talking shop. I like learning about people's brushes. Hopefully this isn't annoying that I bring up the stuff that I use, but I always like to know where people get stuff from and everything. So just to bring this up, this is also a Clip Studio, it's not a Clip Studio official brush, but it's on the Clip Studio Assets store. I think it's one of the recommended ones. It is free. So that's nice. This TPU skin brush, which just has this content ID. I'm the type of person that, when people have their stuff, I'm like, oh, where did that brush come from? I want to mess with it. I want to play with it and stuff. So hopefully, just if anybody's curious, I gave you the means to find it and have fun.
So you manual gradient.
In this case, I'm going to, because
it's a lot of shapes.
Yeah, one, it's a lot of shapes, but two, even though I could technically gradient left to right, it's not going to be straight up and down so much. So actually, I'm going to hide this for a second because I'm going to want to do the little parts by her head differently. So do that so I don't quite blend into it yet.
So you separated the hair?
Yes. Just kind of this way I can. As I go this way, you see it's not going on to that part.
It's going to pop.
Yeah, I'm going to put that gradient on there, but not on the same scale that it's going on the back hair. So I'll just take some sort of big old blender and be like, oh, make it all together.
It's nice and soft.
Though actually, you know what? Now that I did separate that, what would this look like? Let's see. Actually, you know what? That looks pretty good. We're going to do that. I changed my mind.
All right. It's fair.
That's the beauty of art. You don't have to do the same thing all the time. Just do whatever you want.
That's the lesson here today. Do whatever you want.
That's pretty good. Do that, and then we'll just also add another sort of I thought how I was going to do the gradient on her hair, but now I think I did the dark one darker than I wanted to. It's okay. We do what we want. Everything can be fixed. We'll just do a little bit of a lighter towards the top. Oh, don't call me out like this, Clip Studio. Don't let them know that my memory usage is increasing and it may cause the app to crash.
Oh no.
It's holding out so far. So, okay. Looking this over, that I think is really sort of all the flats work.
Okay. Would you like to take a break?
Sure, that seems like a good pause point. I'll go ahead, hide my palette, and be like, haha, here's where we stand so far.
Yeah. Make that.
Thor Sokar, sorry if I mispronounce your username. No, the background on my iPad is specifically not loaded in case this ever crashes and we have to go to it. It's just a Halloween picture that I drew.
All right. We will be back shortly after these messages. Bees.
Bees! Live bees! Bee!
Welcome back, everybody, to Can't Draw Horses Club. Today, Lauren is here, inking and coloring alum, and showing us all that cool process stuff. Here's where we stand.
Colors!
Colors. And I, too, have drawn lum.
And it is beautiful.
It's beautiful. But no one needs to look at that. So... So yeah, you said you finished your flats.
Yeah, I think that pretty much lays out the flat colors. So that's usually what I'll do. We were talking earlier about coloring lines and things, and exactly what I'll do with that might change depending on the effect I'm going for, the picture that I'm working on. But this is just sort of a general process. So I'm making a couple of layers for things. Go ahead and bring my... Oh, that's the horse.
Princess didn't tell you are correct. Urusei Yatsura is the series.
So now I'll go through and just a couple of inner areas. I might go through and color up the lines. So like I'll do this sort of under chin part.
Oh, the under chin.
The under chin. Leave that. I'll do the collarbone just because, as we were saying, fully encased in skin, which is maybe not the best wording, but sort of gives you the idea where it's like, okay, that's, here, this shoulder, that's an edge, it's touching the hair. There might be like a soft blend. I touch upon that, but I won't personally for this picture, I'm not going to color that whole line because it sort of breaks where the edge of her shoulders are to the hair and everything. But these other parts where they're just kind of surrounded by skin, I like to make it a little bit softer looking by, oop, she is missing some skin in her belly button. Let's fix that. Her belly button's not supposed to be just devoid to the background. This is also
like
why
a little
this
tiny
is...
face part here.
Ta-da, that's fixed. Art is just all about jumping back and forth.
Not humans come with a natural peephole. I mean, aliens. Human-shaped aliens.
Humanoid aliens.
Yeah.
So like maybe that line there. And some of these inner finger parts. And yeah, just to reiterate, this is very much just like things that I like to do. Definitely not touting it as the only way or the correct way or whatever way. Come back to that controversial opinion of do things that you like, how you like them, enjoy things. And this is just one of the ways that I find that I like doing things. Maybe all of you, chat, in your horse drawing adventures may also like to do it this way. Maybe not. Let's see. I think those are all the lines I kind of want to solidly color. I'm actually going to drag her eye layer up here. So I ended up, sometimes that color I'll use for skin will actually be different from that lone red that I had floating out there. In this case, I'm just going to use it for both. So now these lines are sort of hard colored. You can see sort of clearly where it starts and stops. This one, I'm just going to take that, in this case, the same color, but just like a big old blendy brush, the soft skin brush I had before. Basically just kind of lightly touch upon areas that feel like they would be particularly warm. So in this case, I'm doing the middle of her face, edges of her shoulders just a little bit. So if you zoom in, you can sort of see how it's becoming a different color, but it's not quite as stark as just straight up coloring the line. And that's again, a personal thing that I kind of like for some areas to just help it look a little more blended and softer, but it's all very much personal preference. And I usually take that same red. I personally just like putting a lot of focus on the eyes, so that's why a lot of the eye aspects tend to be separate from everything else, because I tweak with them a little bit more. But I'll just take that same red and start a little bit of a gradient towards the edges, which I just like because I think it looks nice. Makes it look a little bit softer and blend in, but this is all stuff where may change exactly how I want to do that depending on what I was going for. But and then as sort of a similar vein, I'm going to take this really dark blue and color some area lines of the hair.
Ooh.
So like in this case, sort of a lot of lines like this where it's fully got all hair around it. Kind of picking and choosing as I feel. For instance, she's got her hair bang by her ear. These lines are technically all surrounded by hair, but I'm only going to do sort of these inner ones so that the very outline of this will still be black, which will help it still sort of pop against the hair that's really behind her.
Her back hair.
Her back hair.
Yeah.
Maybe not as coarse and Yeti-ish as it could be, but
She's not full Sully from Monsters, Inc.
nope. There's those. We'll get this one. This one. And that one. Oop. Do that there too. Okay. Colored the lines of the hair that I wanted. I think that looks pretty good. So with that, we'll go on to doing some shading. So usually what I do for that is I've got my color folder that has all the layers of the different sections, and I'll make a copy of it and do all the shading in there. Just because I personally find it useful to still have sort of those base colors, especially if I want to go back and color pick. It makes it a little bit easier to, okay, what were the base colors I used for this character if I'm going to draw her again?
Okay.
Then when it starts, I'll do the shading on some layers, but it's easier to sort of have a quick go back to, I can turn this off and see what all the base colors are instead of having to turn off those individual shade layers to find that bottom layer again.
Yeah, less hunting and picking.
Exactly. I usually start on most characters with the skin, probably because it tends to be the thing I fuss over the most. So I don't know if that's well, I say that, but I also fuss a lot over hair, and that usually tends to come last. So really, there's no logic. That's just how it ends up being.
I guess just bigger details.
Yeah, I think so. I usually just make, I think I also just start with skin because it tends to be, depending on what I'm coloring, the thing that has the most shade layers attached to it. That'll change depending on maybe the nature of the outfit they're wearing and how in depth it is, or if like something has metal that it might have more in depth shading to try and get like that metallic look. Actually, I even left myself a specific layer for this so that I wouldn't forget it. But I'm going to give her a little eyeshadow color, which in
Ooh.
this case, I'm going to do this sort of pinkishy orange, I guess you could call it. She has in the new adaptation, in the original, it was sort of a bluey teal like her eyes color.
Right.
Just kind of, and I might edit as I do the shading on the skin, but I'm kind of worried if I don't put something there now, I'll forget by the end.
And then she'll be going out without her makeup on.
And it'll be a disaster.
No.
You know, all these things that you as an artist fuss over, and you're like, well, what if I put this out in the world and somebody notices that? And it's like, well, they probably notice now. Nobody scrutinizes your stuff as much as you do yourself. But then I'll just sort of, so I've selected just sort of a pink. A pink. You know, the famous color pink. A pink that I want to use for shading her skin. So I'll just sort of go through and block in the areas I want to do. This is where, if I wanted to be more technical and correct, I'd be like, oh, I'd probably lay out where my light source is to make sure I was consistent with my shading. Again, I'll never claim to be right about things. I'm just going to kind of wing it.
Oh.
So I will not claim that the light source will necessarily be consistent. You know,
Got a new person
big,
in chat asking if we ever make like centaurs, and I'm just gonna. I think the audio won't work on this scene, but I'm just gonna. This is something. That's a centaur, right? Right. Yes.
See, as a person who also has a hobby of collecting an absolute absurd amount of anime figures, I want to be like respectful of you having that, but it also offends me deeply.
But I made it myself. Come on.
It's true.
You can do a lot with an airbrush. One day I'll print out his hat. Although I was thinking maybe like an actual fabric hat, like do a little needle fill thing.
Oh.
Just get like a little squish and, stab myself in the fingies repeatedly.
Is it really a sewing project if you don't stab yourself?
I doubt it. I think it has to draw blood to be imbued with an artistic quality. I
When
can
they
show
say
it
artist
again. Yeah.
suffering, they don't mean like the creative aspect. They mean just like the actual physical wounds you might intake,
Yeah.
you might cause doing it.
All right. I'll hold this up again. Just 1 second. Schroer's very popular today. There we go. Yeah, I'm not gonna make someone scrub back in the VOD. Oh, Bank and Vob. Out on an adventure.
Me cautiously always looking up, making sure I'm not zoomed in on the boobs for too long.
Yeah, I've worked in video games, and when you'd have to do 3D models, there's a lot of steps. First, like, there's the modeling, and then maybe you have to, like, reduce the model for low quality, and then you have to, like, UV unwrap the body, and you have to do, like, shading and all the creases, and, like, the light map, and the normal map, and the bump map. So you can spend a lot of time looking at a butt, and it can be a terrible butt. Like, maybe that's why so many video game characters are attractive. Because people just don't
Because
wanna.
nobody wants to spend that long shading a bad butt.
Princess Intel, are you asking about UV unwrapping? It's so in texture space, instead of an X and Y, they have a U and a V, which is from a 0 to 1 for their coordinate system. So unwrapping is just you take the 3D model and you unfold it, kind of like origami, and then that's where you draw your flat texture on. That's all. That's my quick and dirty UV unwrap story. And then you got notes on that model's crotch, and you gotta take the model's crotch back, and you gotta, like, squish it a bit. It's hard. It's so much work.
No, I don't like that. Undo.
Bitecaster, you don't have to add bones until you're rigging. I really like these pink shadows.
I like pink. As someone who loves shonen anime and horror, I like pink. Okay. These are all things where it's like we could choose to go as crazy with them as we wanted to or as minimal as we wanted to. So I think that's a pretty good layout to start with, though. Pretty much just lay that out with just a regular G brush in Clip Studio. Now I'm just going to go through with sort of my soft blendy brush Make it a little bit softer around some of the edges just because I like how that looks.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, chat, nobody can tell you how to shade your butts. You do it how you want. Actually, let's do that.
Okay, yeah. So Gar, if you want to shave your butt, don't let anyone tell you how you're supposed to do it. Just go in with a plan.
Context is important.
Yeah, I don't know if we were whittling, then maybe shaving a butt would come into play. But no, this is shading.
I'll go through and then I'll add just sort of like some light gradient blushy blush. On the faces.
Oh yeah.
Usually very good.
Big soft.
I'll get some at the shoulders. I'm going to do the knees.
Look, it's just a thing that if you're watching anime and you don't think about it, you don't notice.
Maybe she was running a lot, and so her knees are really
Her
flushed.
knees are
We don't know.
warm, because that's a point where blood collects on my body. The boniest spots.
Do that, and then a little bit on the butt.
Give that butt blush.
Mm.
Just get
And
there
I'll
in the powder room.
Also usually take a lighter color and just do a little bit of gradient with that. It's like maybe the edge of her ears, top of her head, a little bit on her stomach.
Like
It's
a lighter pink or lighter than skin?
Lighter than skin. Sometimes I'll actually make it lean a little bit more yellow if it's a character with maybe this sort of skin tone and color and stuff too. But just so it's a thing that I find, and maybe depends on who's looking at it or anything, that it's very subtle, but it's still your eye reads it a little bit differently than just that pure flat base color. I also usually like to take a very light color. Sometimes it actually will just be pure white. And in this case, I think I'm just going to use pure white. Or sometimes I'll have it be the skin color, but much lighter, maybe skewed a little bit towards a different color tone. So if like the skin's very pink, maybe skewed towards yellow or something.
Right.
And do like sort of like some various highlights. I personally like usually putting one near the nose, either above it or around it, and some on the cheeks.
Okay.
Because I think it's cute. The other one match a little bit more. Get a little bit under her lip because I like that. I like my characters to look kissable. But to each their own. And then I'll usually put shine in some other places. Usually do like shoulders. A lot of times to follow where shading was, so it's gonna go on the knees. Duh. You don't have to do breast shine, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
it's gonna be shiny down there. Yeah.
I want them to be shiny. I don't want them to look like they're like elastic or made out of rubber or something, but I like it.
She's been freshly oiled. She's had a new coat
Yes.
of wax.
I like shiny people.
Shiny
How
people.
hard you want to make them shiny is up to you.
Right.
I definitely understand, though the basis of what I'm doing is prevalent in certain types of anime that lean certain ways.
Like you mean art?
Art. It's called hentai and it's art. So I want to put a little bit of shine on her collarbones, I think. In this case, I don't necessarily always do this, or sometimes it'll actually be a different color, but I'm going to do just some areas with a rim light. I'm just going to make it white again in this case. I think that'll be easiest. And it's just, I like it because it helps make some of the aspects pop a little bit.
Yeah. It's just the little details, eh? Do you have like a fingernail method?
If the fingernails aren't painted, I will actually usually then, when I'm at this stage, I'll come in and I'll line it with that lighter color sort of opposite the line. Like that, because I think it kind of helps complete it a little bit. I'll do something different if the fingernails are colored.
Mm-hmm. But I think you're going for naked nails here.
Yeah, I maybe could have made them just sort of like a neutralish pink, but I think that will suffice for now. I made that smaller to do the nails. I want it bigger. Bigger brush. Let's see. I also think I want some on the legs here.
Yeah, got to keep them separate.
Yeah, to sort of help them. Sort of one of the reasons why, maybe depending on the picture, this middle line, I would have done the skin color I did to some of the other lines.
Right.
But I think decided I wanted to leave that to help it sort of keep them a little bit more separate. This is definitely something where you can get, as in depth as you want. Obviously, there's a lot of people who do much more like painterly style things, or, sometimes I'll even go more blended or more kind of flat or cell shaded, depending on, but.
Yeah, especially with anime as a source.
Yeah. That actually zooming out made me realize I wanted to put some shade by the edges of her mouth.
Mm.
Again, would anybody have noticed if I didn't do that? No, but I know. Yeah. honestly, I think that's pretty good for the skin. So actually go and touch up some of these things real quick, which is easy. Just doing the tongue. I should say coloring the tongue and not doing the tongue. That probably sounds
It's
better.
too late.
Oh, it's on the internet for everyone.
Ah.
It made sense in my head. This is not the layer that is colored teeth.
Oh no.
Odd. Let's see.
Now you gotta find it.
Yeah. Well, would it be art if there wasn't troubleshooting somewhere along the way?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Oh, I want the bucket. Yep. Well, I don't know which layer has teeth on it, but now this one does, so we're just going to roll with it.
They live here now. Yep.
Here we go. Take that down. Yeah, I think that looks cute. That's really my standard for most things to go. Does it look cute to me? Yep. It's probably good enough.
Yeah, I wish I had that. Wish I had. Oh yeah, I've drawn something that looks cute.
Or I should say that I'm hoping.
Yeah.
We're at the part in the process where it's like, well, I'm not crying, so I'm hoping that somebody else will find this good.
Just weeping openly.
Let's see. I think we could do her outfit. Let's see. Probably won't do too crazy with it. Nice. She's got the stripes on here, so honestly, I don't think we need to fuss with it too much. That it kind of has some detail and stuff on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly didn't pick a woman in a bikini because that means I wouldn't have to shade a lot of clothes. No, sir. Why would you say that?
How fast was I going, officer?
I didn't even notice the bikini. It's just.
Ah.
I'll just add some little dots around some of the edges
Mm-hmm.
because I think it looks nice. There's only so many ways I can say, why did I do this? Because I liked it. I think I might. Yeah, I kind of like that. I'll add another little bit of that too. So just add some shading there to follow where I already put some. I like that. So let's see. I will add some to her boots. Oop. Wrong button push.
The
The magic of
anti-shadow.
undo.
Yeah, I like to draw my characters in just very dark environments so that they're just mostly
you can't
shadow.
See the mistakes. Yeah, we got some shade on there. I'll just take another yellow, this lighter yellow than her base outfit color. Basically just do like a little blending in some of the highlight areas, which again just sort of helps break up that color a little bit.
Take your flats and make them less flats.
Exactly. Unless you're going for a flat color look, then
keep your flats.
make them more flat.
You can make them more flat? Huh.
Probably somehow.
Somehow.
You know what? No, I'm not going to put shine on her outfit. I know it shouldn't be shiny.
Right? Because it's like, it's furry.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
I try not to think about the texture of her bikini too much. It's just
it probably is furry.
It's like someone went to like the carpet offcut store. And so it's just like that horrible fiber support underneath. And then on top it's just like polyfill.
Ugh.
It's like realistic Pokemon, right?
Yeah, you don't really want to think about it too much.
No, you don't.
It's like, is she wearing the equivalent of a shag carpet? Probably.
Oh yeah,
We'll add
that's
a little
the
bit of shine on her
business.
horns, though.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm under lighting to her horns because I think those would be a little bit shinier, which actually I'm also going to color in those middle lines on her horns. And just leave the outside black because I like how it looks. That, I think, is everything but the hair. Yes. So hers is going to be a little bit unique because she's already got that sort of gradients and she's got so many colors to her hair.
Right.
One of the things I'll do, I kind of go back and forth whether I decide to do this or not. I'm going to give it a shot on here. Is sometimes I'll take some part of the skin color, either the base or the shading, depending on what the color of the hair is, and kind of just see. Okay. I'll kind of blend it in around the face.
Oh, so there's
which is again just
kind of bouncing color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly not a technique that's unique to me. I've seen a lot of artists do it. It's very popular among Japanese illustrators and stuff, but I'll go back and forth whether I like doing it or not, because sometimes depending on how the hair looks, I might want to keep that full pop of color. In this case, I did the pink. I'm going to do a really quick check to see if I did just the full base color of her skin. I actually think I like that better.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that. I've got all the colors of her hair I want to use here. I'll often go in and do the shine of her hair first, just so I kind of know where I'm going to have that. And I usually just kind of do these big old shapes
Yeah.
for highlights for her hair. I don't think it's incorrect to say that this seems a very common type of hair shading from 80s, 90s anime.
Yeah. And then you
Which
get
is
into like the
definitely the good looks.
90s and there's just like a jagged halo around
Yeah.
their head. So like, yeah, scribble. That's where the color difference is.
Yeah, I like that though. I'll often take that and sometimes I'll leave it as just the one color, or I'll be like, I want it to be colorful. I'm going to put a gradient in there. So I'll add another blue. Touch on the edges so it almost starts to look a little holographic, I guess you could say.
Maybe.
Let's see. She's got a gradient, so I don't think we need to be too wild with her hair. Instead, so I'll just add additional shine points there. There. I do like some shiny hair. Glossy, one might even say.
Healthy.
Oh, you're going to color in too much. Undo that. Add one there. I want the one on her head personally to be the main one, so I'm going to take the rest of these and lower them just a little bit in opacity.
Mm.
And then something else I just usually like to do is, okay, I'll add, little dots underneath. Because I think it's fun. Sometimes I'll use this to also get some more color variation in here. But she's already got a lot, so I'm just kind of sticking with this one for now. And then I think I'll just take this darkest blue. You just do a little bit.
Anti-highlights.
Yes. One might even go so far as to call it shading. But she honestly has a lot going on having that gradient, so I think I won't fuss with this as much as I could in other cases.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know what? I kind of like the gradient enough. Maybe I'll just do away with that.
Woo.
That's the beauty of art. You can change your mind in the middle of everything.
As long as you keep stuff separate.
Yes.
I think if you're like oil painting, you have to like, and you paint over it.
You know what? I will just maybe in turn. I'll just take a bright white and maybe do a quick rim edge to her hair too. Do that instead of shading.
Mm.
which I've also done in addition to shading, but in some pictures, but just I can also help break up those sections a little bit more
The side
so they
bangs.
stand out from the other hair around it. A little bit over that. Yep, that was too much. I could just select this and not have to deal with these problems, but
Nah.
nope. So let's see. Maybe we'll try a little bit of a fancy thing with this. And what I'll do with that is I'll actually duplicate the layer. I'll go to
Yep. Sorry, chat. Ignore the stream info.
I'll go to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur, and I'll use the magic of Clip Studio Paint to blur this out for me.
Oh, that
Bring
was
the first one
easy.
back, so you kind of see that it
Yeah.
then makes it look a little bit brighter, and then I'll actually take that whole layer and I'll do add glow,
Whoa.
which makes it even brighter. Now that's a little bit too bright, so I am going to take it down a little bit. And maybe that blurred layer just down. That kind of adds like a nice little shiny appeal, but now instead of being white, it's picking up from the colors that it's under.
Mm-hmm.
Nice and shiny. Yeah, I think we may call her personage good there.
Which is perfect timing, because we
Yeah.
are at the end of things today.
What I'll do instead, my color palette for my background got all messed up there, but I'll just go ahead and ta-da, it's a color.
There we go. That's so cool.
So we didn't quite get to the moon and the stars, but I'll see if I can add those on, and then maybe people can see it on my Twitter if you have any desire to see the tweaked up little finished product of this. But
Mhm.
hopefully that was insightful, fun, enjoyable for you and for everybody to be like, hey, we took a sketch and basically made a completed picture of it.
Yeah. Thank you, Lauren, for hanging today and showing us all the things. And if people do want to find your stuff, they go to the tweeters, the AtomicMarshmallow.
Yes. So yeah, we have it up as I am AtomicMarshmallow with a couple of letters missing because when I made that username, I wasn't thinking that there's a lot of things that don't accept that many letters. But that's what it is on Twitter / X as it is now. I've also got a Mastodon and a Blue Sky, and I'm trying to get things on some other social medias, which I have links to on my Twitter and everything. So, but some variation of AtomicMarshmallow is basically my standard across all my socials.
Thank you. And thank you, all the viewers and people who came and chatted during this and helped with the shower thoughts.
Yes. You saved me the trouble of having to come up with my own when I shower later.
Now you'll just
And
be
they're
thinking
far more
about
cursed.
bones. Bones and inner skin.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's it for today. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.